All right, so we are recording, and let's just begin with chanting Om, the pranava, together. Alice, I'm not sure in your training exactly how far in depth you went into Om, but if we break down Om into A, U, M, M, as we know from Sanskrit, that each letter has a meaning. Even the image of the Om sign has a meaning in terms of 3 different states of awareness, and then the mindless state or beyond the senses, the state of Turiya, when we just look at the image of Om. So as we chant the pranava or Om, we can start with Ah, where our mouth is really open and we have the sound coming right up through the chest, and you feel that vibration all over. And it's very much getting in touch with the Shiva Shakti principles, supreme consciousness and manifestation, because sound is a manifestation of the supreme consciousness. Ooh, when we start making the sound ooh, you feel the air changing through the throat as the throat becomes a little smaller, and you feel more the air passing through the upper palate. That also means that we're passing through some special energy channels, which you probably touched upon the nadi system a little bit, at least in your training. So the subtle energy channels are being vibrated with the oo sound. And then the sound, which we see all through the Sanskrit chakra sounds, the increases and sustains that subtle vibration. So as we chant Om, it'll sound like and each one of us can decide how long we want the ah, the oo, and the m to play out, and we just play with it. So I'm going to put myself also on mute, and let's each chant Om 3 times, followed by Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So go ahead when you're ready. So when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. I thought to begin with, before we go into the actual writing, reviewing the written Sanskrit, that I would talk a little bit more about the classical interpretation of chakras and some of the issues that we have when we start looking at what is a chakra. So if you recall in some of the writings that we have with the workshop, when we look at chakras, it's really interesting because you get the Western translations and then you get the actual Sanskrit scholarly academic translations. And it's not that anyone is more right or wrong in terms of your practice. It's more a question of what serves you right now in your practice and what serves you as a teacher. So a lot of times as Westerners and as native English speakers, we first look to the English translations because we understand that English and that rhythm and that syntax, and that's great. But as we get into it more, we want to look at the Sanskrit scholarly translations and explanations. And then that leads us to the Vedas. Then we have this whole other thing, like what are the Vedas? How are they organized? And I just wanted to share with you, I'm going to put up a whiteboard. Let's see if I can find it for you. Here it is. And let's talk a little bit about how the Vedas work, because the chakras are an integral part of Vedanta. So you have 4 Vedas. Sorry, I don't write very well. We know the 4 Vedas are Rig, Sama, Yajur, Asarva Veda. So there's 4 Vedas. Now these 4 Vedas each are divided further into 4 categories. Those 4 categories are known as Samhita, Brahman, Aranyanka, and Upanishad. From that PDF, I think 3, you saw that there were references to some of these categories. So now you know how it's all organized. If we look at the Samhita is written in mantra form, or if you look in English translation, they call it the singing form. But there is definitely a difference between singing and mantra. Vedic mantra, Tantric mantra, Buddhic mantra, they have definite specific rules of rhythm and sound, which is different from classical Indian music or classical Western music. The scales, all that stuff is different. So Samhita is in mantra form, and it's pretty much the basic content of the Vedas. The Brahman, when you look at the Brahmins, the subcategory of these Vedas, they are the commentaries written by other people about the knowledge that you find in the Vedas. So they're the commentary. The Aranyanka, they are actually a guide or the text on the practices that one does to experience the knowledge that is given in the Vedas. The Upanishads, of which there are many, that is known as Vedanta, and it's the end game. It is the spiritual knowledge that is encompassed within the Vedas, all the 4 Vedas. So a lot of time when people say that they are Vedic scholars, they're talking about they have studied or are studying the Upanishads, or which is Vedanta. Now this, I'm skipping ahead, but just so you see a broad picture, all this is related to the Shad Darshans. I think this is the last PDF. The Shad Darshans are the 6 philosophies of India, or of Indian thought. These 6 philosophies seek to explain through different ways and methods the truth of the knowledge that is given here in the Vedas. 2 of the Shad Darshans, which I think you are familiar with, is yoga and tantra. We'll go into the others, but for right now, this is just to sort of connect the dots. So yoga, through the sutras of Patanjali and other writings, tantra, through its own literature and practices, seeks to describe and explain to the practitioner the truth, or what is, that is presented in the Vedas. Now, where does chakra come in? How does our chakra meditation in Sanskrit relate to all of this? Chakras are mentioned here. Obviously in the Upanishads, but also in the subcategories of Samhita, Brahmans, and Aranyaka. Very early on, hundreds of thousands of years ago, not hundreds of thousands, thousands of years ago. So we know that when we look at chakras, it's not just the Western interpretation of an energy wheel. It's a much more nuanced definition of what a chakra is. A chakra, according to Vedic thought, and explained in different ways here in the Shad Darshans, it's not just part of the subtle body, the subtle energetic body of the human person, but it is a place where we put focus on. So again, here we get to the English translations and the use of English language versus the actual Sanskrit description of chakras. And I'm going to come around to this point, it's a little bit convoluted. But as practitioners and guides in yoga practice, we know there's a difference when we say I do yoga versus I practice yoga. And it's something that each of us develop over time and understand what that difference means. I do yoga, I practice yoga. Just think about that for a minute when I introduce chakras. When we say the Muladhara chakra, the root chakra, has the bija sound of lam, the color red, it has 4 petals, it has a certain deity, Ganesha or Brahman, sometimes associated with it, versus in meditation, visualize red at the Muladhara chakra. In meditation, practice the mantra, the bija sound of lam. In meditation, practice and recite the Sanskrit letters that are associated with the Muladhara chakra, which are lam, the bija sound, and then vam, shum, shum, and sum. That's different from saying Muladhara chakra has the color red or has 4 petals. So you see the subtle difference of it, where when we do the meditation, we are practicing in Sanskrit, which is called nyasa, which is the placement of focus and concentration of thought, visualization, and sound at a certain spot, which corresponds to one or more nadis of subtle body within the subtle body. So it's just a different way of looking at your meditation, at your chakra meditation. Any questions on this before I go further? All right, let me clear this. And I want to go over the Sanskrit alphabet. Why don't I just go through the bija sounds first, and then we'll see if people have gone further and are looking at more of the alphabet, if there's any problems with the writing. So the Muladhara chakra is lam. And you can see how I write it. You know, it's not as stylized as some of the videos that I linked you with. Lam. Vam. Ram. Yam. And see, like even this should be touching there. But when I'm doing it on my own in my own meditation, I'm not always so careful. Hum. Om. So were there any questions in your chakra meditation to date, which is with writing the bija sounds? All right. Then let's look at the Sanskrit alphabet. And I may be jumping ahead, and if I am, don't worry about it. But there's a few places where there can be confusion. So let's look at these three letters: Ga, Cha, and Da. They look very closely alike. So let's look at the difference. When I write Ga, to make sure that I do it properly, I put the horizontal line first. Now, most people, traditionally, you do the horizontal line last. But for these three, I find it easier to do it first to help me differentiate between them. Then I make this one. This one goes all the way down. That's Ga. Now look at the difference with Cha. I also put this first. Same start, but look at this. You don't have the straight line down, but you have a little circle here. That's Cha. And then Da. Right, so it really does make a difference where you put the horizontal line. And which part of these forms touch the horizontal line or do not. Now, the other three letters that sometimes give us problems is Ta, Ba, and Ma. Again, these are very similar ones. Oh, I guess I should put the ya sound in here too. All right, Ta. Notice the horizontal line. Notice these curves here. Ba. So the difference is that these are squared off here. Versus Ma. Horizontal line goes all the way across. Versus Ya, or Yum, if we add the sound for the bija sound for the Anahata chakra. Oops, I always mess this up. This should go all the way up like that. Let me do it this way. There. That's better. I think the other letters are dissimilar enough that you can master it. But these are the ones that have always given me a little trouble. And then I think as we are learning Sanskrit, it's important, one, not to be overwhelmed by learning a new language, and two, to take our time and really understand where these sounds are pronounced. Because this is what is so cool and so beautiful about Sanskrit, is that this language is truly based on sound vibration, the way it vibrates within the physical body and the subtle energetic body. And what that means is you put that sound out into the universe. So each letter, each combination of letters has an energetic quality. Whereas, let's say in English, if I say cat or dog, the ka, ta doesn't really have any meaning. Whereas in Sanskrit, as we were talking about Om, Aum, each letter, each sound, each combination actually means something out here in the universe. So let's look at the pronunciation. We'll just review it. The guttural sounds. So the first sound is really deep down. Yeah, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just had a question. If we look at the history of Sanskrit, was it even before the Vedas? And because of the sounds, I have a feeling the wisdom behind Sanskrit was even before all these knowledge actually, or this wisdom came about. What is your point of view on that?
Yes, I haven't done a lot of reading, but there is actually a Vedic Sanskrit script even before this script that we're learning, which is Devanagari script. So yes, this was absolutely, it was an oral tradition before it was a written tradition.
Yeah,
so, yes.
Thank you.
I don't know anything beyond that, but yes, that is it.
Yeah, I mean, it is really, it's even more than a language. It's very spiritual. It really goes beyond just being a language. I have the feeling.
Yeah, because remember when we were looking at just the diagram of Samkhya philosophy, just the manifestation of Om. It's the first manifestation of Shiva, or the supreme consciousness. So not only does it explain how the universe was manifested, but it explains what consciousness is. And then if you look at what yoga, the practice of yoga is, it is all about understanding the different states of self-awareness. And especially Tantra uses mantra, which is sound, to experience those states of consciousness.
Yeah, this is really cool. It's exciting to hear about it.
No, I find it so intriguing myself too. I really get turned on by it. So, oops, hang on.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but it was just a question that came.
Yeah, no, it's good. Which is why it really, yeah.
Interruption. It like it ignited for me like less of the academic and a little bit more of like my body got brought into it. And I love the academic stuff too, but I really liked that interruption.
Okay. No, and I appreciate you, ladies, because as a guide to the workshop, I know my tendencies. I get very dry and academic because that's my thing, because I love that, but not everybody does. And as a guide, I want to be able to interact to the best of the ability for the group. So thank you very much. Interrupt. It's not even interruption, it's adding. All right. So having said all that, pronunciation is so cool, and it's so easily laid out in Sanskrit. You have the guttural consonants. So remember in the PDF 2, I think one or two, we have the image of the face and the skull, and it says, okay, the guttural sounds are way back here in the throat. So ka, ga, 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 nya. So that last end is a nya sound, but we try and do it here in the back of the throat. So once you've gone through the bija sounds with your chakras, maybe you just want to look at the guttural sounds and practice. If this is ka, ga here, then if I want to go to the palatal sounds, which just a little more forward and do ta, ta, ha, da, da, ha. And then if I want to go a little bit more forward and do the cerebral sounds and then the labial sounds, or the dental and then the labial, you can start within your own awareness, feeling where you pronounce the letters differently. And then that brings us straight into the petals of the chakras, where we get more awareness and we refine and find more fluidity in how we pronounce the Sanskrit, which then brings us to the Purusha mantra, which then brings us right back to Vedic chanting. And we can start looking at any of the Vedic chants that you're drawn to and look at it from the Sanskrit point of view instead of the English transliteration. And then you really know how to translate it. And just one last thing, something I really like, is what Simon Tchaikovsky, it's one of the links I gave you. He's a great teacher that I can see. He said, you know, as non-Sanskrit speakers or even non-Hindi speakers, a lot of us are not used to differentiating where we pronounce certain letters. He goes, but having that awareness and intention removes the obstacle to connecting with that subtle vibration that we're trying to achieve or we're trying to experience. So even if to a listener, they can't hear the difference between ta and ta, I know that I just said ta and ta. I just did the difference. And so that's how I would invite us all to look at our meditation practice, because ultimately it's your practice and we're all doing it to the best of our ability. So having said that, I wanted to open up the discussion to experiences that you've had, any issues, challenges, breakthroughs. Please just share with us. You can just unmute yourself, however you like to do it. All right, Alice, I'm going to put you on the spot. How's it going?
It's been a little rough this week, but yeah, to get into it.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm glad. Thank you.
I have to say that I did not go through the last video or the last session that it was, I think, 2 weeks ago. So I think I have to catch up and go through the slides that you sent and the video. But I have to say, I've started meditating with my primordial sound meditation. I don't know if you've heard about this, that the sound that was on the birth moment of each of us, there was a sound in the universe. And I've been practicing with the sound of my primordial sound meditation. And this has been a really deep experience in my life. And I think this is something, I'm sure with chakras, it's a different, now I'm going to my experiences and what I have been through, but or what I have experienced. But I think the sounds, they have so much influence on my life right now. And that's why I felt, wow, this is something that I would love to participate and listen to. Yeah, from my side, I think I will have to go through the slides and the session to know more, because I know that Corinne, you have so much knowledge, and I have to say that I really enjoy it and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for organizing and sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you, Azadeh. No, that sounds quite interesting. How did you get into the primordial sound? Where did you learn about it and why?
For me to stick to a meditation, which is like a daily meditation, was quite a challenge. I knew that I did some 21 days meditation and other forms, but with Deepak Chopra, they have this primordial sound meditation, and through him or through the learnings, I just got into the primordial sound meditation, and I received my own sound of birth at that point of time. So I gave my birth place and the date and the time, and according to that, well, they have Indian and astronomists, so they had these sounds and the charts that they go through, and each person has got a unique sound that at that point of birth it was there. So it was amazing. Just the moment that I heard that sound, it just, something shifted in me. I cannot even explain it how it was, but it is really deep. It's amazing. I can really encourage you and say that this has changed my life. So perhaps you like to also go a little bit and research on that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Azadeh. No, that's fascinating. Very fascinating. Kieran, I don't know if you wanted to share anything or not.
With regards to this workshop, I don't really feel like I have anything to share. I'm totally a newcomer right now. I haven't really interacted with any of this class's material.
No, that's all right.
Yeah. So, and I'm kind of out of my meditation practice right now. I think, well, of course, because I'm the newcomer and I don't know what your structure has been for the last month, and I haven't even looked at the material. I don't really know like even how to begin. But I don't want to take up time in this space for that unless that feels like something you want to delve into. Like, how are you having this practice? But I can always talk to you privately about that. But thanks for letting me share.
Okay, no, thanks,
Nobody
Kieran.
else wants to talk about it. That sounds like a great topic.
Well, you know what, Alice, you're absolutely right, because I did want to bring it up, actually. Because, yes, of course, there is this whole written part of the workshop. But to be honest, that's just, if you want, that's just to give you more context and background information. For some people, the way they learn, which is the way I learn, I like to have all that background stuff because that's the way I work. But I know a lot of people like to do the practice first, experience it without having all the intellectual stuff going through their head, and have the experience first. And so this workshop is really set up that whichever way you approach your meditation practice, it's all good. So the practice is truly, truly simply learning the bija mantra sounds, sitting quietly and going through the chakra sounds, and then maybe sitting quietly for 2 minutes to 5 minutes or more, depending on what you're comfortable with. That's it. And being able to or wanting to organically lengthen that time of meditation. I mean, I think all of us go in and out of our own practice, you know, for years. I mean, anyone who has practiced for years has had good months, bad months in terms of how much time you're able to devote or want to devote or meaningfully can devote to your practice, right? So this is just another tool to put in your toolbox using chakras. And then as teachers, I always say in any of my workshops that please, any content that I am sharing and that you're sharing with me is for you to use any way you want. If you want to give a workshop on chakra meditation and just take the written material, the oral material you find, just take it and run in with your own workshop or your own class or your own teaching. That's absolutely fine, because nothing that I'm sharing with you is new to me. It's not, or I should like original to me. This is all just what I've learned. And as I was speaking with Alice earlier on, you know, I started by just reading English translations of other English translations of other English commentaries. And it was only as I kept delving deeper and deeper that I'm getting closer and closer to the original source. And something that we have learned by Yogananda and his study of the Bhagavad Gita, and other yogis who have studied the literature, as we intellectually study yoga philosophy, if we include meditation as part of that practice, we really incorporate the subtle philosophical concepts much faster and easier. So it goes hand in hand, but you don't have to do it. If in this workshop, all you want to do is say, man, I just want to learn Sanskrit and focus on chakras and have the experience, you never have to open any of the PDF files. It's not necessary. And that's all I have to say about that.
It's always surprising, Corinne, that you're so easygoing. I had other experiences with my teachers, you know. they're like, you're
No,
going
no.
to learn this and you're going to write it 100 times and you're going to come back and give me your feedback.
No, that's no.
No, I really
So
appreciate it. Thanks for just it being so, I'm not saying easygoing as in, it's a positive way of looking at it. Whoever is taking something that they at that point of time they needed, and then they take that part. So I appreciate that.
I know. So that's how a practice is. So yeah, you're welcome. If Alice or Karen, did you want to say anything else, or are we feeling good? We're going to meet in a month, and like I said, there is no pressure. If you are in this workshop and you do want the continuing education credits, this workshop formally ends, I think, the second week of December, because it's within the date that online workshops are accredited with Yoga Alliance. So this is going to keep going once a month until then, and take your time with the meditation in the Sanskrit. All right? Okay. So let's end chanting Om once more, perhaps 3 times, and then we'll just sit quietly for 2 minutes and really enjoy the vibrations. So go ahead. I'm going to mute myself too. So let's take one last exhale. And our inhale, go ahead and open your eyes. Release your pose. Thank you, ladies, so much. I'm grateful to see you all. I'm excited to see you all, to meet Alice. By the way, Azadeh, this is Alice. I don't think you've met. She joined us.
Nice to meet you, Alice.
Nice to meet you too.
You are
So-
also in San Jose or in Costa Rica?
I am in the middle of the country in Missouri.
Oh, wonderful. And how do you know Corinne? Or how do you get to know each other?
The Yoga Alliance website in the chats.
Wow, wonderful.
Yeah. Alice, Azadeh is in Germany.
Okay.
Yeah, we met, I guess, 2 years now. Has passed? Or
Yeah,
1 year?
1.5 year now. Yeah.
Yeah, since we met. So, yeah. So, ladies, it was wonderful to see you. Thank you for sharing all of your wisdom with us. And I'll see you in a month. And I mean this sincerely from my heart. If you have any questions, email me or put me on the WhatsApp chat, whatever you want to do, because I'm here. So thank you all. Have a wonderful
Thank you.
day. Namaste. Ciao.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Bye. Bye.